האם זה באמת סגולה בדוקה? הסגולה ללמוד בזה?
Erev Tov, good evening. We are in the Zera Shimshon on Parshas Toldos. We're going to do Os Yud Beis, section number 12. Before we begin, we're going to take a look at two psukim, one from our Parsha and one from next week's Parsha. Here's the pasuk from our Parsha, Parshas Toldos, Perek Chav Zayin, pasuk Chaf. Vayomer Yitzchak el beno, and Yitzchak said to his son, Ma ze miharta limtso bini. How is it that you came back so quickly, my son? Vayomer, and Yaakov said to his father, Ki hikra Hashem Elokecha lefonai, because Hashem, your God, appeared or happened before me, meaning Hashem helped me come back so quickly. So just to provide the context of that pasuk, this is, of course, the episode in which Yitzchak is planning to give the special bracha to his son Esav, who was the firstborn, and Rivka hears about it, and she tells Yaakov to go and get two Gidayei Izim, two goats, and she takes the fur from the goats and she covers Yaakov with the fur, and she cooks up the meat and sends Yaakov back in to bring the food to Yitzchak so that Yitzchak will give him the bracha instead of giving Esav the bracha. So that's the first pasuk. Now let's move ahead to the next pasuk. This is from Parshas, beginning of Parshas Vayetze, and which starts with the famous episode, the famous story of Yaakov on his way to Lavan, and he stops and he lies down and has a dream. And the Torah tells us, V'hinei Hashem nitzav alav. In Yaakov's dream, Yaakov's dream, of course, involved the ladder going up from the ground to Shemayim. V'hinei Hashem nitzav alav, and Hashem was standing over Yaakov. Vayomar, and Hashem said, Ani Hashem Elokei Avraham Avicha. I am Hashem, the God of Abraham, your father, Velokei Yitzchak, and the God of Yitzchak. Ha'aretz asher atah shochev aleha, the land that you are lying upon, lecha etnena, I will give it to you, ulizarecha, and to your children. Those are the two psukim. Now let's get right into the Zera Shimshon. Pasuk, there's a pasuk in Parshas Toldos that says, Ki hikra Hashem Elokecha lefonai. Yaakov answers his father Yitzchak and says, Hashem happened before me. Hashem helped me bring the food quickly to you, my father Yitzchak. Koshe, Zera Shimshon says, there's a problem. Lama hutzruch lomar Kahn Elokecha. Why did Yaakov need to say Elokecha here? Instead, he says, Ki hikra Hashem Elokecha, because Hashem, your God, happened before me. Why did he have to say your God? Halo haya die. Would it not have been sufficient, Lomar, to say, Ki hikra Hashem lefanai? Hashem happened before me. Why did Yaakov add the seemingly superfluous word Elokecha, your God? Hashem, your God, is opposed to just saying Hashem appeared and helped me. Ve'od, and another question, Lama Amar Elokecha velo Amar Elokim. Once Yaakov decided that for some reason, we don't know yet, but he needed to add in not just Hashem, but the word Elokim, why not just say Hashem Elokim? Why did he say Elokecha, your God? That doesn't seem at all to be necessary. Not just Hashem Elokim, but Hashem Elokecha, your God. Yaakov must have had a reason to use this word Elokecha, your God, in addition to saying Hashem. Those two questions basically come together to focus our attention on the word Elokecha that Yaakov added to this pasuk, to his answer to his father. Next paragraph. Yesh lomar, and we can say, Dechavanas Yaakov hayisa, the intention of Yaakov was lohoshiv lo hatam, to respond to his father Yitzchak with the reason loma miher limtso. Why was it that he was able to find food and bring it so quickly? Ve'amar lo, and Yaakov said to him, to Yitzchak, Ki hikra Hashem, because Hashem happened or appeared to me. Shezeh hoya b'derech nes, which means he was saying this happened in a miraculous way. When Yaakov said the words that Hashem happened before me, he meant that what happened wasn't a natural event. It was a miraculous event. I'm coming back so quickly because Hashem arranged things to happen, not in the natural order, which would have taken much more time, but Hashem allowed me to come back exceedingly quickly, miraculously quickly. Omnam, however, Nisyore Yaakov was concerned, was afraid. Pen Yitzchak lo yirtze lehonos mimase nisim. Perhaps his father Yitzchak would not want to benefit from some kind of miraculous act. Amrinim b'perek gimel desanis, as we learned from the Gemara in the 3rd chapter of Maseches Tainis. Ha'avoda heima lecha hektish. That's a quote from a man who the Gemara talks about over there, Elazar ben Birta, and we'll talk about that in a moment. We'll tell I'll give you the fascinating story from that Gemara, but first let's just finish the thought. So we see from that Gemara that a person shouldn't benefit from miracles. V'lochein, and therefore, Amar lo, Yaakov said to Yitzchak, Elokecha, your God, not just Hashem, your God happened upon me and helped me. Klomar, meaning to say, Ein zed nikra nes etzlecha. This shouldn't be considered a miracle regarding you, vis-a-vis you, my father Yitzchak. This isn't the type of miracle, of supernatural act that you would feel, that you should feel uncomfortable benefiting from. This is for you the type of action, this is the type of intercession from Hashem that it's okay for you to benefit from. And we'll continue on in a moment to see how the Zera Shimshon further develops what Yaakov was saying to his father Yitzchak. But let's just bring down the episode from the Gemara in Tainus. So in that Gemara, they teach us about a man named Elazar ben Barta, who was such an incredibly charitable person that whenever he saw people collecting for tzedakah, he would give them everything he had. He would basically give them all the money he had, to the extent that the people collecting for charity themselves would try their best to hide from him and avoid him, because they realized that his own family would not have food to eat, would not have money if they allowed themselves to be seen by this man Elazar ben Birta, who would immediately give them all of the money that he had. And so they couldn't take it anymore. Basically, they didn't want to deprive Elazar ben Birta's family from having the funds that they needed, sufficient funds to live. So they would hide. So the Gemara tells a story that one time they were doing their best to hide from Elazar ben Birta, but he saw them and he ran up to them and he said, "Tell me, you have to tell me, what are you collecting for?" And they very reluctantly said, "We're collecting for an orphan boy and an orphan girl in order to help them get married." Now, it happened to be, the Gemara says, that Elazar ben Birta himself was on his way to the market with money to buy things for the dowry of his daughter. He was on a mission to buy things for the items, special, beautiful items for the dowry of his own daughter, to enable her to get married. But he said to the people collecting tzedakah, what you are doing takes precedence over what I'm doing for my daughter. And he gave them all of the money he had except for one dinar. Then he came home. Then he bought wheat with that one dinar, that one coin. Came home and he threw the wheat into the area at their home where they kept the wheat. And his daughter saw that the wheat multiplied tremendously inside. A miracle happened, and the wheat multiplied tremendously inside of the room where they kept it. And she and her mother weren't able to open the door because the wheat was pushing so hard against the door. There was so much wheat there, miraculously, that they couldn't even open the door. So she went to tell her father about this, and he said the words that are quoted here: "Ha'avoda The service, meaning the temple service, which is a way of taking an oath. It's as if when Elazar ben Birta said that word ha'avoda, it's as if he said, I'm swearing by the temple service. Heim alecha hektish. All of that wheat is on you as if it is consecrated. You can't touch it because I heard you're telling me a miracle happened. So now that is all going to go to tzedakah, meaning that the daughter would only be able to benefit from the wheat like to the same degree that any other poor person could come and take from tzedakah, as opposed to all of the wheat going to her, dowry property to help her get married. So that Gemara teaches us that this exceedingly righteous individual never wanted to benefit from a nace, from a miracle, to the degree that he wouldn't allow his family to use this wheat that multiplied miraculously in his home. Now continuing, Shaharei Kosav Rashi al Pasuk. This is continuing the idea that Yaakov said to his father Yitzchak, you don't need to worry about the fact that I said Hashem appeared for me. Why? So Rashi explains on the pasuk, V'hinei Hashem nitzav alav, that's from Parshas Vayetze, when Hashem appeared to Yaakov, Kahn yichet shmo al Yitzchak. In that pasuk, as we saw, Hashem said, I am the God of Avraham, your father, and the God of Yitzchak. Hashem connected his name directly with the name of Yitzchak. That's not something that Hashem would normally do. Lefi, this was because Shekohu Einov, Yitzchak's eyes had weakened, as the Torah teaches us. Yitzchak's eyes, as he became very aged, his eyesight dimmed, he couldn't see. V'cholu babayas, and he was isolated and trapped in his home. V'harehu kames, it's as if he was a dead person, as if he had died, even though he was still alive. It's as if in a certain way he was dead. V'yetzer hara pasak mimenu, and his evil inclination ceased from him, just like a dead person no longer has an evil inclination. And the yetzer hara, of course, leaves dead people alone. This had happened with Yitzchak. He didn't have a Yetzer Hara. Ad kan l'shono, until here's a quote from Rashi. V'hoil she'ein lecha Yetzer Hara. So now this is what Yaakov was saying to his father. Since you, my father Yitzchak, are in a state where you don't have a Yetzer Hara, you don't have an evil inclination, yesh lecha le'achol. You should be able to eat ba'olam hazeh, in this world, v'lehanos, and to benefit mimase nisim, from miraculous acts. Before this point in your life, when you had a Yetzer Hara, then it was appropriate for you to take upon yourself not to benefit from miraculous acts. But now your righteousness is so assured and locked in, and your reward in the next world is so locked in, because there's nothing that can get in the way of you receiving your full reward. You no longer have a Yetzer Hara. So therefore you should benefit from, you're allowed to benefit from miraculous acts. Shehu haschar shel ha'olam haba. This is your reward in the next world. It's as if you, Yitzchak, my father, you can already start receiving your reward and then your reward from olam haba, because it's as if you've already left this world. You're no longer like a normal human being in this world. Lefi Hashem hu Elokecha, because Hashem is your God, Shekvar Yiched Shmo Alecha, because he already connected his name in a very singular way with you, Yitzchak. So that is the answer to the original twofold question as to why Yaakov Avinu said to his father Yitzchak, Hashem appeared to me, or Hashem happened before me, and added the word Hashem Elokecha, Hashem your God. Why did he add Elokecha? Because he wanted to say, Hashem appeared to me and enabled me to come back quickly with this delicious food for you, Father, and don't be concerned about eating it, that you don't want to benefit because you don't want to benefit from a miracle. You can benefit from miracles. It's okay. You're at this stage in life when you no longer have a Yetzer Hara, and you can benefit from miracles, and it will not lessen in any way your reward, your schar in Olam Haba, in the next world. That's the answer, but the Zera Shimshon wants to add what he calls a musar haskel, a lesson for life. Next paragraph. Ve'agav archin, incidental to this, yesh lakachas musar haskel. We can take a relevant lesson for life. Shekol adam, every person, yesh lo lehakir b'chol ma'asav, every person should recognize in all of his activities Nifloos Maseh Hashem, the wondrous actions of Hashem. Ki ein bekoach ha'odom la'asos klum, because it is not possible for a human being to accomplish anything. Im lo bechesed Hashem, without the kindness of Hashem. She'ein odom nokef etzba'o lemata, because a person doesn't even hurt his finger down in this world, Ella im kain nigzar alav milamala, unless it was decreed that that should happen above in Shamayim. As you can see, that's a quote from the Gemara in Maseches Chulin. And Chazal, the Zera Shimshon's bringing in Chazal's teaching there that everything that happens to a person comes from above, comes from the decrees from above, and something even as seemingly trivial and minor as a person hurting or bumping his finger. V'chein b'chol revach sheyaseh. Every time a person has any profit, makes any profit from business or other achievements in this world, al yomar, the person should not say, Ki zeh bolo, that this has come to him bihish tadluso ha'otzum, because of his amazing intensive effort. Person shouldn't think that. Ela chesed Hashem. The person should realize that all revach, all profit and benefit in this world comes from the kindness of Hashem. Another example, im yale legedula, if a person is raised to prominence, al yomar ki chochmoso garmolo, he shouldn't say his wisdom is what caused it to happen for him. Rak chesed Hashem. It's only because of the kindness of Hashem. So whatever happens to us, we should try our best not to give ourselves credit, our wisdom, our effort, our good looks, whatever it might be. Don't give ourselves credit. Rather, realize every time something good happens to us, it's the chesed Hashem. It's a kindness from Hashem. Next paragraph. Vizehu, and this is what Yaakov meant with the words, Ki hikra Hashem Elokecha lefonai. Hashem happened, Hashem, your God, happened before me. Veharaya, the proof that this is what Yaakov meant to say. In other words, that Yaakov meant to say, everything that happens to me, I realize comes from Hashem. And so the fact that I was able to bring the food so quickly to you, Father, is because because of Hashem's kindness. Veharaya, the proof that Yaakov meant this, Shahare b'Yaakov lo hikra lo HaKadosh Baruch Hu klum. In actuality, if we're talking about a miracle, Hashem didn't appear to Yaakov or happen upon Yaakov and do any kind of miracle for him. Rak hu holach likach hashnei gedoyim. All Yaakov did was listen to his mother Rivka and go out into the yard and bring in 2 goats. How is that? That doesn't involve a miracle. Nothing miraculous happened at all. V'osa osam mehera, and he prepared them quickly, meaning he brought them to his mother Rivka, he shechted them, he slaughtered them, brought them to his mother, and she prepared the food, and things happened quickly. Shelo hoyu tzrichim lekol kach zman. They did not need, Yaakov and Rivka, who were putting together this plan, did not need so much time, kimo leile chasodeh, as if someone is going out to the field, lotzud sayid, to actually hunt and catch game, to trap animals. That would take a long time. That's what Esav was doing, and that's why it took Esav a long time. Yaakov and Rivka, for their plan to work, all Yaakov had to do was run out to the yard, grab the goats, bring them in, slaughter them, and help his mother do what she wanted to do to fulfill her plan. Ve'im kain, if so, if no miracle actually happened for Yaakov, lichored would appear Yaakov diber devar sheker, that Yaakov was saying something not true. Yaakov seemed to say a miracle happened. Yaakov said, Hashem appeared before me. Apparently that means a miracle happened. And that's false. A miracle didn't happen. Ki lo hikra Hashem klum, because Hashem didn't appear specifically to do a miracle in this instance. In this instance for Yaakov. All that happened that was special was that Yaakov was able to quickly get the goats, and it didn't take much time to prepare them. Yaakov wrote Salomar, but definitely what Yaakov wanted to say was, Nisgalgel Hadover. This whole thing has happened, has come about, has developed. Biritzon habore, with the will of Hashem, uvechasto, and with his kindness. She'ani azmin lecha ma'acholcha, that I am the one who prepared food for you. Everything that developed, meaning Rivka knowing what Yitzchak was planning to do and having the plan to tell Yaakov to get the goats and cover himself with the fur, and for her to prepare the food, and for Yaakov to bring it and act as if he was Esav. All of that came about through the chesed of Hashem. V'lochein miharti lohavi, and that's why I came back so quickly. That's what Yaakov had in mind. That was kavonas Yaakov when he said to his father Yitzchak, Ki hikra Hashem Elokecha lefanai. Ki hikra Hashem Elokecha lefanai. Lefanai, before me, v'lo lifnei ochi, and not before my brother Esav. Meaning, Yaakov wasn't trying to say in his own mind a miracle happened in the sense of a completely supernatural act. What Yaakov was saying was that the natural acts that have come together in order for me to be here and be bringing the food to my father Yitzchak, that's Hikra Hashem Elokecha lefanai. That I realize is the kindness of Hashem arranging for everything to play out in such a way that I'm the one coming in, giving my father the food and enabling myself to receive the special bracha from him, instead of my brother Esav, who's still running around in the field trying to capture animals and bring food in for Yitzchak, our father. This, of course, I don't need to add a word. It's to what the Zera Shimshon said so beautifully and so articulately to teach such an important lesson of Musar Haskel to us from the episode in the Parsha, and how important it is for us to strive to realize everything that happens to us comes from Hashem, and anytime something good happens, to not focus on our own efforts and our own possible reasons why we accomplished it, but rather to say, this is the chesed of Hashem, this is the kindness of Hashem in bringing this goodness and these blessings to us. Yashu Koch for joining in the learning this week in the Zera Shimshon. We look forward to learning together again, Be'ezus Hashem and the Zera Shimshon on next week's Parsha.